This city has over 20 million people. It is the largest city in Africa, one of the largest cities on Earth. But Lagos is not the beginning of this story. The beginning is older, much older. 4,000 years ago, in the forest belt of what is now southwestern Nigeria, a civilization was taking shape that would eventually produce one of the largest cities in the medieval world, one of the most powerful cavalry empires in African history, and a belief system that today has over 100 million followers across 5 continents. They are the Yoruba, and their story does not end in West Africa. It crosses oceans. The Yoruba are one of the largest ethnic groups in Africa, with over 50 million people in Nigeria alone, and tens of millions more in the diaspora. They are concentrated in the southwestern states of Nigeria: Lagos, Oyo, Osun, Ogun, Ekiti, Kwara, and Ondo, as well as in the neighbouring countries of Benin Republic and Togo. Their language, Yoruba, is one of the 3 major languages of Nigeria, alongside Hausa and Igbo, and is spoken by over 40 million people as a first language. It is also one of the most tonal languages in the world, meaning the same word can have entirely different meanings depending on the pitch at which it is spoken. But what defines the Yoruba above all else is their urban tradition. The Yoruba have been city people for over 1,000 years. Long before European colonialism, long before the Atlantic trade, the Yoruba were building cities. Dense, organised, politically sophisticated urban centres that rivaled anything in the contemporary world. In a continent where most pre-colonial societies were organised around villages, chiefdoms, and nomadic confederations, the Yoruba were building metropolises. This urban tradition is central to Yoruba identity. To be Yoruba is to come from a city. Every Yoruba person belongs to a specific city, and that city, its history, its rulers, and its relationship to the cosmos defines who you are. The city is not where you live, the city is what you are. At the centre of the Yoruba world, historically and culturally, is a city called Ile-Ife. According to Yoruba tradition, Ile-Ife is the oldest Yoruba city and the place of origin of the Yoruba people. Their founding narrative describes divine beings descending from the heavens to create the earth, with Ile-Ife as the point where land first appeared. Ile-Ife was a real and significant city. Archaeological evidence confirms it as one of the oldest and most sophisticated urban centres in sub-Saharan Africa, flourishing from at least the 9th century AD and reaching its peak between the 11th and 15th centuries. What Ile-Ife produced in this period was extraordinary. The Ife bronzes and terracotta heads, naturalistic portrait sculptures of rulers, are among the most technically accomplished works of art produced anywhere in the medieval world. When they were first encountered by European scholars in the early 20th century, many refused to believe they had been made in Africa. Their precision and craftsmanship were simply beyond what these scholars assumed Africa was capable of producing. They were wrong about Africa. They were not wrong about the quality of the work. Ile-Ife was also the source of political legitimacy for the entire Yoruba world. According to tradition, every Yoruba king, every Oba, derives their authority from descent from Oduduwa, the founding ancestor of the Yoruba people, who established his kingdom at Ile-Ife and sent his children out to found the other Yoruba city-states. The Ooni of Ife, the king of Ile-Ife, remains to this day the most culturally significant figure in all of Yorubaland. To understand the Yoruba, you must understand the role religion has played, and continues to play, in shaping their history and identity. The Yoruba have, over their long history, engaged with 3 distinct religious traditions. Each has left a deep mark. The oldest is the traditional Yoruba belief system, centred on a practice called Ifa, and a pantheon of spiritual entities known as the Orisha. Ifa is a divination system, a body of oral literature transmitted by specialist priests called Babalawo, that has been used for centuries to guide decisions, resolve disputes, and make sense of the world. In 2005, UNESCO documented Ife as an intangible cultural heritage of humanity, recognizing its historical significance as a cultural practice. The Orisha are spiritual entities, each associated with a specific domain of human and natural life: thunder, rivers, iron, creation, and so on. Each has associated rituals and forms of worship. This tradition formed the spiritual foundation of Yoruba society for centuries before the arrival of the Abrahamic faiths. Islam arrived in Yorubaland gradually, from around the 14th century, carried by Hausa and Malian traders moving south along the trade routes. It spread slowly at first, finding its earliest roots among the merchant class and the northern Yoruba cities closest to the Hausa states. The pressure intensified in the early 19th century, when the Fulani Jihad pushed southward into Yoruba territory, capturing the city of Ilorin and establishing a Fulani emirate in the heart of Yorubaland. This accelerated the spread of Islam significantly across the north of the Yoruba world. Today, approximately half of all Yoruba are Muslim, making the Yoruba one of the very few large African peoples genuinely divided almost equally between two of the world's major religions. Yoruba Islam developed its own character over the centuries, integrated with local cultural practices and producing a tradition of Islamic scholarship conducted in Yoruba rather than Arabic. Christianity arrived in Yorubaland in the 1840s, carried by missionaries, but crucially, some of the most influential of those missionaries were Yoruba themselves. Samuel Ajayi Crowther was the most significant. Enslaved as a child, freed by the British Navy, educated in Sierra Leone, and ordained as the first African Anglican bishop, Crowther returned to his homeland and translated the Bible into Yoruba. He gave his people access to literacy in their own language at the very moment colonial education was being established. The Yoruba engaged with Christianity energetically and eventually built some of the largest Christian institutions in the world from it. The Redeemed Christian Church of God, founded by Enoch Adejare Adeboye, a Yoruba mathematician turned pastor, now has parishes in over 190 countries. The Living Faith Church, founded by David Oyedepo, has a single auditorium in Lagos that holds over 50,000 worshippers. These are global religious institutions built by Yoruba people. What is notable about Yoruba religious life is how all three traditions have coexisted within the same society, and often within the same family. A Muslim grandfather, a Christian mother, a grandchild raised in the traditional faith. This is not an unusual picture in Yorubaland. Religious identity among the Yoruba has historically been layered and negotiated rather than rigidly exclusive. This reflects something deeper about the Yoruba character, a capacity to absorb, adapt, and continue. It is a pattern we will see again and again throughout their history. From the cultural origins of Ile-Ife, the centre of Yoruba political power, eventually shifted northward, to the open savannah where horses could be kept, armies could maneuver, and an empire could be built. The Oyo Empire, founded in the 14th or 15th century, became the dominant political force in Yorubaland and one of the most powerful states in West Africa. At the heart of Oyo's power was the Esho, an elite cavalry corps of professional soldiers who could deploy rapidly across the savannah and strike targets hundreds of kilometers from the capital. The Oyo cavalry was among the finest in West Africa and gave the empire a military reach that no neighbour could match. At its peak in the 17th and 18th centuries, the Oyo Empire stretched from the Niger River in the north to the coast in the south, encompassing much of what is now southwestern Nigeria and the Republic of Benin. Its annual tribute collection extended deep into territories beyond its formal borders. The Oyo state was governed by one of the most sophisticated constitutional arrangements in pre-colonial Africa. The Alafin, the divine king of Oyo, held enormous power, but was checked by a council of nobles called the Oyo Messi, led by the Basorun. If the Oyo Messi determined that the Alafin had become tyrannical or incompetent, they could present him with a calabash of parrot eggs, a symbolic command to commit suicide and make way for a new ruler. This was not merely a theoretical power, it was exercised. The Oyo Empire was also deeply enmeshed in the Atlantic slave trade. From the late 17th century, Oyo became one of the most significant suppliers of enslaved people to European traders on the coast, raiding neighbouring territories and selling captives through Dahomey to the ports of the Bight of Benin. The consequences of this participation would eventually contribute to the empire's own destruction. The 19th century was the most catastrophic period in Yoruba history. It began with the collapse of the Oyo Empire, a series of internal crises, rebellions by vassal states, conflicts between the Alafin and the Oyo Meshi, and the rising power of the Fulani Jihad states to the north, shattered the empire in the 1820s and 1830s. The Fulani, fresh from their conquest of the Hausa kingdoms, pushed south into Yoruba territory, capturing the northern Yoruba city of Ilorin and turning it into a Fulani emirate. The fall of Oyo triggered a cascade of wars across Yorubaland that lasted for most of the 19th century, the Yoruba Wars. City fought city, former allies became enemies. Hundreds of thousands of people were enslaved and sold through the Atlantic trade. Ironically, it was during the worst period of this warfare that one of the most important Yoruba cities was founded. Ibadan. Founded in the 1820s by warriors displaced from the fall of Oyo, grew with extraordinary speed into a military powerhouse and eventually the largest city in sub-Saharan Africa in the 19th century. It was a city of warriors, built without the traditional Yoruba royal lineage, governed by military merit rather than hereditary right. Ibadan would become the primary military force holding back both the Fulani advance from the north and the aggression of other Yoruba states from the south. The Yoruba Wars were finally ended not by Yoruba diplomacy, but by British colonialism. In 1893, a British protectorate was imposed over the interior Yoruba states, ending decades of warfare, but beginning a new chapter of foreign domination. No people in West Africa were more deeply affected by the Atlantic slave trade than the Yoruba. Estimates suggest that between the 17th and 19th centuries, over 3 million Yoruba people were transported across the Atlantic, more than from almost any other single ethnic group. They went primarily to Brazil, Cuba, Trinidad, Haiti, and the United States, and they carried their culture with them. Elements of the traditional Yoruba belief system, the Orisha tradition, survived the Middle Passage and the plantation system to take root in the Americas, where it blended with local conditions to produce new syncretic traditions. In Brazil, it became known as candomblé. In Cuba, it became Santeria, or more properly, Lucumi. In Trinidad, it became Shango. Each tradition is distinct and shaped by its own history, but all have roots in the cultural memory Yoruba enslaved people carried across the ocean. For these communities, maintaining cultural practices, including religious ones, was a way of preserving identity, communal bonds, and a sense of continuity with their homeland under conditions designed to erase all of that. Today, the city of Salvador da Bahia in northeastern Brazil is sometimes called the most African city outside Africa. Its food, its music, and its cultural traditions are all profoundly shaped by the Yoruba people who arrived there over 3 centuries of the slave trade. The Yoruba did not just survive the Atlantic slave trade, they left a permanent mark on the cultures of every place they were taken. When the British formalised their control over southwestern Nigeria in the late 19th century, they found themselves dealing with a people uniquely positioned to engage with the new colonial order. The Yoruba had been in contact with Christian missionaries since the 1840s, and crucially, many of those missionaries were themselves Yoruba. Samuel Ajayi Crowther, enslaved as a child, freed by the British Navy, educated in Sierra Leone, and eventually ordained as the first African Anglican bishop, returned to Yorubaland and translated the Bible into Yoruba. He gave his people access to literacy in their own language at the very moment colonial education was being established. The result was that the Yoruba entered the colonial period with higher rates of literacy, a stronger tradition of urban commerce, and a more developed professional class than almost any other group in Nigeria. By the early 20th century, Lagos was producing lawyers, doctors, journalists, and politicians at a rate that alarmed colonial administrators. When Nigeria became independent in 1960, the Yoruba were at the forefront of the new nation's political and intellectual life. But independence brought new challenges. Ethnic competition with the Hausa Fulani North and the Igbo East, the trauma of the Biafran War from 1967 to 1970, and decades of military rule that frustrated Yoruba political ambitions. The tension between Yoruba identity and Nigerian national identity remains one of the defining political questions in Yoruba life today. Today, the Yoruba are one of the most dynamic peoples on earth. Lagos, the city that opened this video, is the economic capital of Africa, processing a significant share of the entire continent's trade and commerce. It is a Yoruba city, built on Yoruba land, and its energy is inseparable from Yoruba commercial culture. Nollywood, the Nigerian film industry, the second largest in the world by volume, is dominated by Yoruba storytellers, Yoruba themes, and Yoruba aesthetics. The Yoruba travelling theatre tradition, which flourished in the 20th century under figures like Hubert Ogunde, was one of the direct ancestors of Nollywood. Afrobeats, the genre that has taken the world by storm, with artists like Burna Boy, Wizkid, and Davido dominating global charts, is rooted in Lagos, in Yoruba musical tradition, and in a long history of cultural production stretching back through highlife, juju music, and the talking drum tradition. And across the diaspora, in London, New York, Toronto, Sao Paulo, Havana, and beyond, Yoruba cultural identity is experiencing a powerful renaissance. People of Yoruba descent are reconnecting with their language, their history, and their heritage. The talking drums are still being played, Ile-Ife is still there, and the story of the Yoruba is still being written. 50 million people in Nigeria, tens of millions more across the Americas, Europe, and beyond. A people who built great cities before most of the world knew what a city was, who survived conquest, slavery, and colonialism, and left their mark on every place they passed through. The Yoruba are not a people of the past. They are a people whose history is so deep, so consequential, and so far-reaching that it continues to shape the world today. 4,000 years, 50 million people, and the story is still being written. Subscribe to the Cognos, and if you haven't watched our videos on the Fulani, the Hausa, or the Tuareg, those are your next stops. The history of West Africa is the history of the world.